What up, dude?
Dude, you look so. I don't look so good.
Oh, bro, you look so good.
Please.
Look at you.
Wow. Well, you're looking fantastic yourself.
No, please. It's all smoke and mirrors hiding from the waist down. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, it's a hard road to slog there. When you're staying at home and staying healthy and everything's a little more difficult when you're remote work all the time. So.
Don't I know it, my brother?
Yep.
Well, fucking welcome to the show. For everybody who is still here and tuning in, we're just getting started. This is only the fourth. I can't believe we've been doing 4 hours so far. My name is Rando. And we are on the Second Order Chaos podcast, Bucks for Belize, and we are raising money for the kids in Key Calker down in Belize. They are completely decimated by the virus. All their tourism money has dried up. So because a lot of us hackers apparently go down and teach every year, which I did not know, we are raising money and we're up above 20 grand so far. And dude, we were at 10 grand before we even got here. So
nice.
Yeah, super happy about that. But I could not be happier, to see you, my friend. Wait, oh man, I got more people coming. Hold on. We have another guest. Come on.
Sweet.
Hold on.
Thank God, because I tried to get Miss Berlin, and she said she'd had enough adult beverages and was trying to get to sleep. So.
Yeah. Well, I think Rook has also had a couple. But he's on.
I've had a few, yeah. What's up?
Oh, you
hey,
had
friends.
Very nice.
Look at you, man.
Hey.
Oh,
welcome.
This makes me feel good. What up, boys?
Well, hell, he shaved. I should have at least shaved. I've got this thing going on here. I don't know what the hell.
Yeah, I did the once a month shave.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm still growing mine out from Movember, so this is 8 months of growth. So I'm some kind of primitive
I shaved this
man-ape
morning,
or something.
so I grow super. It's unfortunate.
Y'all are so lucky.
I'm just trying to fix some aspect ratio here on my Zoom thing. I don't know. That might have been okay. That did nothing. All right, cool. Well, so anyway, welcome. And one of the first people that I asked, for anybody who does not know, the first man that you heard speak is none other than Mr. Bryan Brake himself, host of one of the most popular InfoSec podcasts known to man, Breaking Security. With
easy there.
No, come on, please. You're too modest on yourself. So we have and it's you, it's Miss Berlin, it is what's your co-host? I'm so my brain's farting.
His Brian Betcher and Amanda Berlin, Info Sister and Betcher Pwned on Twitter. So,
it's to me up in the pantheon of just awesome. Man, my headphones are all fucky right now. I don't know what happened to them. What the hell's going on here? All right,
I forgot to start the hour out here. I forgot to donate, so I'm going to throw something in here for my for good cause here.
How dare you?
Can we post the
the
link into chat so I can donate too?
Yes. Actually, the link is hold on. I will get that.
I mean, I can get it through Discord, but if we can get it in the Twitch, that'd be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. I will put it right now. It is www.donate.
Nice.
Thank you, Zach.
Golgotha's fucking on it, man. Oh, are we allowed to cuss? What's the PG rating here?
We've already far abandoned that.
Oh, good. I assume so, but we have high school students, and while I know what I was like in high school, I assume other people are more wholesome than I am.
Yeah, no, we're already far past that.
So, one thing people should realize is if they work for big companies like Microsoft or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or Google, sometimes giving money to charities like this, they'll automatically do a 1-for-1 or even like a 3-for-1 match. I know that the Gates Foundation does that. So if anybody's listening and they, are giving this money and they, don't realize it, their companies may actually do matches. So if you give $500, you can automatically turn that into $1,000. So something to think about for y'all out there who are, trying to do nonprofits.
Yeah, actually,
absolutely. That's a good point.
No, go ahead, Rook.
I was just going to say, and don't think that it's just y'all that we're leaning on to donate. I'm donating $500 right now. So,
I'm donating $500 too. Woo!
I love it. I love it. So it's not just we're not just relying on the viewers to do this. It's something that we all care about.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
I've been to Belize. I've never been to that island. I have visited Belize. It's a lovely place, but you can definitely tell that's there's definite need down there for this. So every little bit helps. I think like the GoFundMe says, $385 will supply a child for a month or a student for a month in this case. So it sounds like they're doing a lot of great work down there, and God knows they need it. So there was, I just got reminded. So I had to put in a written schedule for everybody that we're having streaming during this event. And I don't know, I was feeling silly or something, a few gin and tonics. So the bot will stream it in the event channel guide in Discord. And I named it Live Stream of Breaking Security, hosted by Bryan Easy on the Eyes Brake. Yeah.
Nice.
You're blind, my man. You're blind.
Nice.
Oh God, I did that.
No, come on, look at that hair, dude.
Well, normally I'm about an inch lighter up on top, and I turned 21 last year, so
get the fuck out of here.
What? I'm sorry. Say that again.
I turned 21 like 21 years ago. So it sucks getting old, people. Sucks getting old. To be honest, though, I'm in the best shape of my life. Even when I was in the Navy,
I don't think it sucks getting old. I enjoy getting old.
Well, it's because you age backwards. You're like Benjamin Button.
Oh yeah, baby face.
That's not fucking true at all. But no, we deserved the aches and pains that we have. Like we've been through some shit, folks, and I am very proud to have the gray temples that I've got.
That's true.
I think you should too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, Golgothas. This is the brake sack. Yes. That's it. That's that. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry to disappoint.
Sorry for everybody that's underwhelmed.
Yeah. Sorry. That's it. This is world headquarters. This is Seattle, Washington, and what have you. So, yeah. This is when the flop sweat happens, because I'm like, I usually have something to talk about.
You must be going crazy right now, because you don't have anything, do you?
Well, I was like, oh yeah, we can talk about some news, and I'm like, does anybody want to hear about news? But
you talk about whatever, man, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. So who is Second Order Chaos? I've never heard of them. Are they?
This is me. This is my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I had, after our last podcast kind of just like ended or whatever, and people did other things. I had a very specific, thing that I like. I love interviewing. Interviewing is my favorite thing. I'm an old radio guy.
Right.
And, I love human stories. I love getting that, like for every story, you can get how technical and details or whatever. There's always a underlying human current, and you can always tap into that. No matter how shitty any interview goes, you can go there and you can get some really good stuff. So, normally when I was on my last podcast, Rally Sec, it was a mix of news and that kind of thing. But for me, I got all the interviews and people come on and talk about things. So I said, well, I'm kind of jonesing for that. So let me figure something else out. And, it was so scary, like doing that. Like, yes, I have people like you and Derek and just friends and things like that. But you start something new. I mean, I'm sure it was like this for you when you started Breaking Sec, of like, will anybody give a shit? Right? Like, will anybody care at all of this thing I wanted to do, of something I think I'm good at? So I was like, well, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I have too many cool people I've met that I want to know about. I want their stories. If for no other reason than I want something for posterity, right? I've done interviews when I first started out with people that run things like ShabbatCon at DEF CON. My friend Spam that runs that. the Diana Initiative and people like Dave Kennedy and all these people. I want their stories. I want to collect them. And when somebody asks, what can I do at DEF CON? What is ShabbatCon? I've got a stream for you. That's all I have ever wanted.
Nice.
So yeah. And then I remember sitting in my kitchen, like thinking, all right, I'm going to do this. Like, I hope somebody cares. I hope somebody gives a shit. What do I name it? Like, it was the most nerd. Because no matter what you name it, you think it's going to be fucking dumb. Like, because it comes like, and if it's nice to you, you're like, well, nobody's going to care. Somebody's going to think that this is, yeah, I'm such a noob. Thank you. Somebody in the chat was like, you're such a noob, bro. But yeah, so
we're all noobs.
We're all fucking noobs.
That's right.
We're all noobs. Right. Every single one of us.
I remember, which is funny, that the name spawned from me going, fun fact, the name spawned, I don't know if you fucking care about any of this when you asked what Second Order Chaos was. I'm going to tell you anyway. I got asked to speak at this CISO lunch in Jersey at this golf course.
Really?
Yeah. Shit, you're not. Speaking of matching donations, my company, which is Gigamon, matches donations too. So anybody who donates from Gigamon, they match 100%.
Nice.
So, but we have relationships. It was for the local. I think it was like for ISC Squared or some shit. I forget what it was. And they're like, hey, we're having a CISO luncheon. Will one of your guys come and talk on a panel? And I was like, it's only in Jersey. It's right up the street. Like, I'll go.
Everything's legal in New Jersey.
Yeah, everything's legal as long as you can get caught. So right. I said, yeah, I'll go. And it was about shit I knew nothing about. I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll do some research. AI and blockchain and shit. Like, I think it was literally about AI and blockchain. So I was like the voice of, I think I was the voice of reason. But all straight laced, like vendor dudes on the panel. But before all this, one of the dudes from Cyber Reason was there. One of the evangelists, I forget what his name is, but he gave a really good talk, and he referenced a book that referenced the term Second Order Chaos. And apparently, I don't know if he came up with this or he heard it from somewhere else. There's 3 levels of chaos, right? There's first order chaos, which is nature, which you can't control. There's second, or then I'm paraphrasing very badly. There's second order chaos, which is chaos that while you can't control all the chaos, you can shape it. And by shaping, it's writing and speaking and influencing and control, all that kind of thing. So you can shape how the chaos moves. And then there's third order chaos, which is like every fucking man for themselves. Nobody has anything. And it's man-made and you can't do anything. And like, fuck it. So I was like, well, and it's one of those things that kind of started rattling around in my head, like second order chaos. Like, okay, I'm a firm believer in chaos. And I want to speak. If I can shape that chaos a little bit in a positive way, let's go. And plus it like, you can also be written as sock, and like the sock is live was like a shtick I did for a while. But anyway, that is a very, very long-winded answer to, hey, who's second order chaos?
That's super interesting though, because I honestly just thought it was a play on, like, we've got second order SQL injection and second order cross-site scripting. Like, I literally just thought it was like, oh, well, it's second order. Like, I'm not the one exhibiting the chaos, but I'm the one inducing the chaos, was like kind of my assumption, right? Because from my very offensive perspective on these things.
Right. No, it was nothing as good as that. It was
No, I actually disagree. I think your origin story is way better than just like a riff on like some shitty vulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so thank you, Cyber Reason. I do appreciate it. But yeah, that's how I got it. But yeah, so welcome, Mr. Bryan Brake.
Very nice. Yeah, I like you, I agonized over a year before I decided to start the podcast because of the what ifs. What if people think it sucks? What if people don't listen? What if I get bad feedback? And it was really rough to get it started, because I was like, I'm nobody, and I really wanted to figure out how to get myself out there and to, find a better job or to create a body of knowledge. And, creating that was very difficult, but thankfully Mr. Betcher was there. We worked in the same office doing the same job. We were both named Bryan, which is why I call him Mr. Betcher, because Bryan and Bryan for breaking down security didn't make much sense at the time. So I was like, well, and, there's a sign of respect there coming from the military. So, but yeah, it started out where it was like we were learning things like, 1 week we were doing hashing because we had developers telling us that they were MD5 and encrypting their passwords in the database. And I'm like, no. It's not MD5 encrypting or whatever, So we had to discuss what hashing and encrypting and encoding was and, those kinds of things. And, eventually we were selfish when we started because we were just trying to sell ourselves. But then, community building just kind of built around that, and then we started the Slack and, helping out others and getting that started. And, community building is hard. I've actually given talks on that. And, there's ways of doing it that are good. And there's some ways that are doing it that are very, very, very bad.
How do you... I'm sorry. If you have more to go on that, please continue. But I'm curious.
Please.
One of the things that I run into a lot is I have a YouTube channel that I contribute to at this pace like once a year, and before it was like once a week.
Right.
And one of the things I run into a lot is that I'll run in, like, people will send me a message and I'll try and respond to them as I see them. But sometimes shit falls through the cracks or I just don't have the time to answer how should I approach my master's thesis kind of questions.
Right. Oh, wow.
And so I never ever looked at it until recently as managing a community. It was always just trying to help people as I could. But really, when you have a community, how do you even approach that? That's a lot of people with a lot of very specific needs that you feel. And I assume you're like me, you seem to have the same passion that I do. You really want to help them, but you don't have the time. Like, how do you do that, man? Because I don't.
Well, so I worked at a company that I didn't divulge a lot in the earlier episodes, but I worked at CrowdStrike and it was fully remote and I worked at home. I was in this office here and that really helped me build the podcast and build the community. And there was times where it was like, oh my God, nobody said anything in our Slack. I need to, add 15 or so stories to make it, make it look like there's something going on in there. And, you build it up over time. And after a while, it's like, in the cartoons where you see a snowball starting out really slow at the top of the hill and then it gets really, really big and it started sustaining itself to the point where I'm like, I don't feel like I need to be there all the time. Now, to your question, where you get comments like, somebody's needing help with their master's thesis, it depends on what they need in regards to their master's thesis.
Or just whatever. How do I get started in pen testing? What's the first thing I should learn? Should I take these 8 courses or those 8 courses? Like, the general, how do I get into security kind of questions? There's a lot to it, right? And very personalized advice, right?
Right. Yeah, I get some of those on email and in Twitter. I try to, mention a couple of books. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, just take this SANS course. I'm like, yeah, SANS is not cheap and they're great training. Don't get me wrong, but there is a lot of other training that you could take before you go and do a SANS course. We just had Tanya Yanka on. If you're interested in web app dev stuff, I mean, she's, she hacks purple.dev is out there. She's got a lot of training on there. There are a grip of Udemy classes that are available for cheap, like $10-20 because they're always on sale. To get the basics down. I just talked to a guy on Twitter today. He's a full stack software dev looking to break into security. He's like, hey, how do you suggest to do that? And I'm like, you're a full stack dev. You're already halfway there, right? Yeah, that you're a unicorn because I think full stack devs moving into security is like the perfect, because they can speak the developer thing, which a lot of us security folks are like, yeah, just go fix that one thing. And they're like, yeah, you don't understand. It doesn't exactly work like that. So, I think that there's a multitude of trainings out there that are available that people could take before, and get their way through. And some people there are two distinct camps on whether or not certs are good versus certs are bad, and I'm not going to go into that because it makes me unhappy when I talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it really just depends on each person. I try to give them a couple of minutes each time. You know, I suggest the Slack because there's a ton of channels we've got on there, and you know, people can feel free to ask questions in there. We're a very noob friendly environment because we're all noobs, like Rook said. And you know, we just try to you know, make everybody feel welcome, and that hopefully allows people to feel comfortable enough to share information or to even ask questions that they may not be able or feel free to ask in a normal environment. So, but it does take time and effort. I mean, we've been doing the Slack for roughly 4 years, and we've got about 2,000 people, 500 active accounts on a daily basis. Wow. We have moderation. We have a social contract. If you bring in politics, we're going to kick your ass out. We've never had to remove anybody except for the NoobSec, one of the NoobSec folks who was one of the early joined the Slack, and one of the first people to join our Slack, and did not realize he was in there, but we kicked him out as soon as we noticed he started joining channels again. He's the only person that we've ever kicked out of our Slack, and so far, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, so involved in a like open CTF group on Slack, and so I'm just curious, how quickly does your Slack run out of history?
Oh yeah, we've got roughly 600,000 messages that we can't get to because Slack has draconian purchase requirements.
Like, so your main channels, are you like a day of history, like 2 hours of history? That's a lot of people in it.
Yeah, we have. Well, we also have, you know, roughly 20 other channels. Everything from mental health to cloud network security. We go back, I don't know, about a week and a half on our hallway con, but you know, we have a ton of, you know, our job board. We try to pin as many posts on that. It just really depends on the amount of activity. You know, we have 2,137 accounts in our hallway con right now. We try to treat it as an all the time con.
Week and a half is pretty good. Like that's a solid history for a free Slack with that many people in it.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, I wish they would give us the ability to pull our message logs, but it is what it is. And one reason we picked Slack was because a lot of companies use Slack. So installing Slack, you know, another works group makes more sense than, you know, asking IT to install Discord or Mattermost or what have you. And then, you know, last thing I want to do is to get people in trouble. So adding another Slack is easy enough. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So like, and I love this conversation so much because like whenever I get asked now, like, what's my favorite thing, or like, what do I love to do most? Like, what do you love about your job? It's hands down. I didn't realize at the time, but it's community building. I didn't realize that I was doing it when I started it, but like when my son was born, I remember he'll be 5 in July. And I remember I was just kind of starting out, and I got a second gig at Mandiant, and I remember like I have so much to learn, and I have so much to and I'm surrounded by all these very smart people who I'm friendly with. Let me just start a Slack, right? I'm sure everybody has a Slack and blah blah blah, and it was like me and David Bianco and like 3 other people. And I remember, funny side story, I don't think I've told this, but like I invited Chris Sanders. You guys know who Chris Sanders is? Oh yeah. Rural Tech Fund.
Yep. Rural Tech Fund. Yeah, absolutely. Great organization, by the way.
Oh my God. I love Chris so much. And he was like, I don't know. It was like, he goes, this one guy is going to be in there. I'm not going to. And then all of a sudden, very, very slowly, bit by bit, couple more people. Fast forward 5 years, there's 500 people in there now. And I go places and they're like, yo, I'm in this Slack. And we have a real names policy, and people are lightly vetted. Like, I haven't the other thing too. I don't know how both of you approach it when you build, you know, the different things, but if you need a team, right? Like, I absolutely cannot do it on my own. I realized that very early on. So mine has a team of admins. This stream for this charity has a dynamite team that just fell into my lap. So yeah, that's one of the pro tips I always say is get a good team. Get a good team of admins.
Dude, as I was converting over to this, I was in a like happy hour Zoom earlier, like as you invited me over to this, and I was just telling them like how much effort has gone into this stream, because I haven't been actively participating, but I've been watching a lot of like Golgothas is just like fucking killing it, man. A big shout out to everybody who's been supporting the Discord and everything. I don't have that backup. Like and I only have, a few dozen followers on YouTube or something. So I don't need that, but it's shocking to me the amount of effort that goes into like these Twitch streams and podcasts and stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah. So like Bryan on your back end, and this was going to be breaking, but let's just interview each other. Why the hell not? How, at what point did you realize like, oh man, I actually need a team of people to do this?
Well, on the Slack, it was always something I wanted to do, and I always wanted to make sure we had a diverse group of folks. So, the first 3 folks we had was Ms. Berlin, Mr. Betcher, and myself doing the moderation. Mr. Betcher, he's still a moderator, but he's off doing his LogMD stuff. We invited Dave Sybuck, who I met at DerbyCon, and Scott Pack, who I also met at DerbyCon, awesome gentlemen, to join us. And then after we had Megan Roddy on the show when we did the discussion on neurodiversity, because she's on the spectrum, and actually having her on the show, I don't know if that was a catalyst that started Mental Health Hackers, but between her and Miss Berlin, they started Mental Health Hackers because of that. I was so impressed and had so much respect for Megan that I automatically suggested she become a moderator. And then we added a director of InfoSec who we had on just recently talking. We had real world social engineering attempt, and she had some audio, and she came on. She works for a retail firm, and we did the audio of the guy calling up the call center and trying to SE the order information from the call center folks. And she's senior leadership, and I was like, I need to have you on our Slack being a moderator. So our army of moderators make sure that everything stays on track, stays on rails. We gatekeep too. We don't allow just anybody to join, so they can, email us or they can hit us up on Twitter. I tend to ask questions if they don't have any followers. Like, what do you do in security? What interests you in security? And if they don't reply back, they're either a bot or they just don't get on Slack, on Twitter a lot. I do gatekeep in that respect, but I rarely, I have never denied anybody because of something they've said. And, so far we've never had any problems, but it was about 1,000 people where we decided, we probably need to make it so that you just can't, join randomly. You've got to control the environment, or, your second order chaos. It'll hit third order real quick, and it'll be, every man for himself and not sharing that door on the Titanic, if you will.
Yeah, we've and by the way, huge shout out. He was on already, and he'll be back again tomorrow or today, because now it's past midnight. Dave Kennedy, Relic, Trusted Sec, has recently spun up his own Discord. Which, by the way, Zach. By the way, Rook, I hear, I understand you and Zach are friends. Gold. Golgothos?
We've been in some Zooms together.
Yeah. He's name dropping left and right. You might want to talk to him about that.
Whoa. Well, I don't have a name to drop, so he's barking up the wrong tree. He needs to be dropping like Brian and Danny names. Is what needs to happen.
Dude, seriously, like that's like IPSC saying like
listen, even Nick, man, like Nick, I love Nick to death. Like Nick's a great dude. I was at the first DEF CON that I met Ian Coldwater. So speak about a name to drop. The first DEF CON, it was 2 years ago, I think, I met Ian, and they were there we met, I think like night 0. It was the night before the first day of DEF CON, and we were hanging out. And then a couple days later, I met them. That was the year that they led the Femme presenting group on the unofficial CTF to I think 6th place or something. And they're not even, that whole team wasn't even competing. It was literally just Ian's yo, I just want to learn and I want everybody else to learn. And then they took 6th, which was just mind blowing. And so I was in the CTF room and Ian calls me over and they're introducing me to the group that's around there. And Ian's like, oh yeah, he makes some CTF, YouTube videos. And they're like, oh, it's IPSEC. And I was like, I mean, same realm, right? I mean, dude, Nick's a great guy. Nick makes amazing videos. I think he's way more worthy of praise than I make a few videos, and I hope they're helpful. But man, that guy does some fucking work. That guy makes amazing videos.
Funny quick story about IPSEC is that I recently took, and this is not shilling just because they're sponsors, but I actually took Spectre Ops, Red Team operations class.
That course is so good.
So dope.
I'm so happy I took that. Go on. Sorry.
No. It's hands down one of it's probably the best training I've ever taken. Spectre Ops, thank you being sponsors. So I'm sitting there in my team, I'm right up front, and the dude next to me is like, yo, he goes, I think that's IPSEC behind you. And I was like, so I listened, and his voice is unmistakable. Oh, yeah. Now, I should know better. I should know that it's totally cool to go up to him and be like, hey, you don't know me, but my name's Danny. I'm just a big fan, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't. I was like, I don't want to bother him. He's in a class. I'm not going to fucking do that.
I think you texted me about this.
I did.
I did. And I was like, dude, talk to him. Nick is so great.
No. Did not do it. So.
God damn it.
But then later, he went on Twitter. He was like, yeah, I saw Rando in the class. And didn't even say hi.
Oh.
I got
opportunity.
It was out of respect.
So Nick and I met each other through CTFing before either of us started YouTube. And that guy, we started YouTube around the same time for about the same reason. It was really about us learning what we wanted to do, and the best way to learn about the things we wanted to learn was to explain it to other people, hands down. It was actually I don't want to be a sans shill here, but it was literally the Holiday Hack Challenge that I made a couple videos for Holiday Hack a couple years ago. And that I write up for Holiday Hack Challenge. And I realized as of making those videos, I actually don't know how to explain this. And then I learned a little bit more about it. I learned how to explain it. I made that video, and a video description was my write up for that Holiday Hack. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. Nice. And I learned so much, and you see it in my videos where I just get stuck completely because I try and go off script, and I'm like, well, the reason that this happens is
that riffing
shit.
The riffing will kill you.
It's awful. But he did his YouTube similar reasons was to learn more and to learn deeper. And man, that guy's great. I love Nick. Nick Ippolito is one of the greatest.
Way to talk his real name, bro.
Oh, man, it's IPSEC, really. I mean, come on.
No, it's of course I know.
But I call him a good friend. I hope he does me as well. But he's the most genuine guy. Honestly, he's phenomenal, and he really deserves a lot of respect for all of the work he puts into his videos. It's phenomenal stuff.
Yep. He was one of the first people to help us out when we were we have a CTF club as well that meets on a similar regular basis. We have Ponysec who does a lot of great work. He actually creates original videos for us that we post to our YouTube channel. So he did one on SSRF. But one of the things that we do is we have a Hack the Box private lab where we take recently retired boxes and put them in. So, something that's on Hack the Box right now, once they retired, we can put it into our lab. That way we're not having people constantly DOSing it or, having it rebooted or whatever. So it's really awesome that Hack the Box folks do that kind of stuff for folks. And we aren't paying for it. They're doing it for free. They're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're actually one of the few companies. We don't do sponsorships on the podcast. We're odd like that because I don't want somebody just showing up going, here's a couple $1,000, here's our cool, toy blockchain and blah, 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 and Bitcoin and whatever. But those would be one of the few companies I would, if they wanted to give us money or, come on and talk about something on a regular basis, those would be a company I would get involved with heavily because I think they do a lot of great work.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about the community. And some people will talk shit and they're like, oh, community, this and that. But like, well, listen, I think the fact that people will dismiss the term community as some kind of like fluffy, pipe dream. I think that's a particularly craven way of looking at it. I think it's what you make of it. And I think if you actually make good strides in doing it, I have two of the best examples of that sitting right on this call right now. No. And just shut up for a second because just be sitting there and take the compliments, will you? Except I don't like your smooth face.
I'm standing here, so get it right.
I do not approve of your lack of beard, but we'll get to that. It is what you make it. And
I just got swamp ass, so go ahead.
Show it. Prove it. I want you to clean the wall behind you with it. Wow. That's like, dude, it's getting late now. And actually it's really not because this is not even, I'm still awake. But yeah, like it really is what you make of it and what you put into it. And also how you deal with the people who don't think of it like that or want to put like, for lack of a better word, toxic shit out there. But yeah, man, like it's just so much fun. Like this, I love this. I love that there's going to be a video of this forever. But yeah, like that's my favorite thing about what I get to do. And I don't know why I went on that spiel just now, so please take me out of it.
I actually have a very personal story about community and like what community actually means and what being a positive force is a thing, but like just trying to be a positive force in community means so much. So when I first got into tech, I always wanted to be in security, but it was like 96, 97. I was still in school, but I was trying to get into the Linux community. And what everybody said is, don't worry about whatever you know, just start contributing to open source, like contribute to a software project. You don't have to know programming, just contribute. But nobody ever says, well, if you don't know programming, this is how you contribute. Because to be frank, to contribute to an open source project or to contribute to a project or whatever, generally speaking, you're going to contribute code. And if you're not contributing code, there's some very specific things you can contribute to that you are not aware of until somebody explains it to you. Right. And so my entire like early tech years was absent of that kind of guidance. And it was very much like, oh, well, contribute to open source. And then I started taking C++ in high school and I didn't know enough to contribute to the kernel of Linux in 1998 or 2000 even. And it wasn't until I think like 4 or 5 years ago. And we're talking, like 2015, 2014-ish that I joined Twitter and I started just participating in the community, like saying hey to people and talking to people and sharing what I learned that day and learning what other people learned that day.
Yep.
And this sounds super weird, but it wasn't until I got on InfoSec Twitter. And I know a lot of people think it's a dumpster fire, but I will actually champion the fact that we have one of the best communities. If you know where to look, if you know 100%. Who to interact with, we have an amazingly uplifting community. And that's what I missed so long ago. Like, I didn't understand. No, it actually doesn't matter what your technical ability is. Just interact with people. And those people, if you interact with the right people, and to be fair, it's a who you know, not what you know. But when you interact with those people, they will guide you and not necessarily handhold you, but say, hey, you don't have to know programming, but you need to know documentation. So, maybe start looking over here. And this is kind of the things I'm going to do. We have that community, and our community is fucking phenomenal. I really, really, my only shtick these days is how positive I am on Twitter. Like, honestly, I haven't done a YouTube video in forever. But it really is like how awesome the community is. And that's the kind of community that we need. That's the kind of, even if you're not a technical person, I was actually just talking to somebody that comes out of healthcare recently, that does a lot of like patient advocacy stuff, and they know a lot about privacy, and they know a lot about medical systems and how patients move through medical system. And it's like, man, all you need is like an extra 15% about basic security stuff, and you are able to work in GRC, or you're able to work on whatever. You're there. But they don't necessarily know that, and they need those connections without going on to Stack Overflow. And I think that's the beauty of the family, the hacker community that we have.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a huge rant, and I warned you that I was drunk, but
no,
that's my rant.
It's great. You have to cultivate those networks. I learned the hard way about networking, and worked for a government contractor back in 2011. And, one day they decided, the Navy doesn't need security for this contract, and that means you don't have job. And I was like, son of a bitch. And I tell this story when I do any kind of community building talks. It's like, you need to network when you can, not when you have to. Because when you have to, and you go up to people like, hi, I'm out of work. Here's my resume. It comes off as desperate. And, they know that, and you know that, and you know that they know that. And, not to, mince words, but, if you cultivate these relationships ahead of time, you see people online. I just saw somebody who said he was laid off because of, something at his job, and, 300 people on Twitter are like, dude, no problem. I got a job here. Hit me up with this. I got a pen test for, I got
then again, that
SOC
was
analyst stuff. I was not going to name names.
But he said it publicly.
But we don't just see that happen with Mubix, right? We see that happen with
that's very
anyone.
true. Very true.
Right.
Like anyone in the community, and the shitty, what I'm seeing a lot lately, I don't mean to just derail this conversation, but like, I see a lot of companies that are really just shit at interviewing people. So I see a lot of very talented, very awesome people fall out of a job. A lot of people go, oh, well, let me introduce you to my company. And then they don't immediately get a job, not because they're not good. It's because the industry really sucks at interviewing people.
Right.
I have the worst. I've seen red teamers. I'm not going to name any names. I've been talking to a red team who's been out of a job for a little while lately. And the questions that they're getting are like, well, let's code review this application. Let's do this. How would you build a detection mechanism for blah, blah, blah? And it's like, yeah, that's tangentially related, maybe, but these are not the things that I would be asking in the 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes that I have to interview you. Like I think that traditionally companies are just shit at interviewing people, but I see that outreach of, oh, so-and-so lost their job. Let's do what we can for them across the board. It's not just Mubix. So,
Yeah. And, I know that there's some caustic people in our environment. And, one of the things that we've tried to do on BrakeSec is to present a unified, a more different group of I'm the problem, depending on how you see. I'm 40-year-old white dude, heterosexual white dude. And it's my job as a cishet white 40-year-old dude to recognize that and to uplift folks who don't have that, and to amplify their signals. So, we have all kinds of folks on. We try to, get as much diversity on our show as possible, because we know that not every person out there has the same opportunities. Even though I have probably more insecurity than anybody that I've ever interviewed on the show. But it's important that we recognize that there are folks that don't have the same opportunities as us, and try to help them as much as possible, which is why when Danny said, "Hey, do you want to come on and help, a fundraiser for a bunch of kids or, students in Belize?" I was like, fuck yeah, I'm on, man. Let's do this.
Hashtag donate. Hashtag, wait, how do we hashtag? Where's my fucking camera? There we go. Hashtag donate. Octothorpe donate.
Octothorpe donate.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. But yeah, it's very important that we, help out as much as we can, amplify signals. That's what I am. I don't think of myself as a community builder. I like to amplify signals. I like to help generate ideas, help make connections with people, cause I'm hoping that one of these days, some 25-year-old kid who's getting his first job in InfoSec becomes CEO of a company in about 15 years. And I need a job making coffee somewhere. And he'd be like, yes, you gave me my first shot. And I'm like, yes. So that's what my hope is. In 15 years, I'll be able to make coffee for the guy that I helped get in the door. So
I don't think that people understand how selfish our jobs are as people that reach wide audiences. It seems self-serving to an extent where we're like trying to get the word out and trying to educate people who are not us and get more diverse people into our field and everything. But the reality is that I need a lot more people to learn from, because I'm a little too thick-skulled to learn from the people that are already here. Like, I've learned a lot from the people that are already here, but I need more perspectives to learn from. And just like you said, I'm getting a little older, and I'm going to need some people to be my boss in a few years. And really like that's like, it seems very selfless, but it's not. I just want more rad people to hang out with, like, as we all hack the planet. Right. That's my only motivation is I just need more awesome people, and newer ideas. That's what we're all here for.
Here's something else that I love this question for people who I know do a lot, because once you do, and I say this every single day, I'm very lucky. I am very fortunate to, like, I love what I do. I love this. I love my life. I love everything about it. But what do you do when it can be very mentally draining and emotionally draining? Like, my sense of self-worth is very much wrapped up, because this is who I am. This is what I do. And especially when it's wrapped up in your paychecks and things like that. A quick story of, just to get to my point of what I'm going to ask you, is I would always feel very, very guilty the longer I went to conferences and got to meet more people and this, that, and the other thing. I would eventually break, and I would have to go to my room for at least like an hour, because I couldn't take, like, it was too much. Like, oh, poor baby, people are coming up to you and hanging out. It was just too much, and I have to go and I have to regroup. And a lot of people know that I'm the mental health thing with Brake Psych. Like, I have a therapist, and she's amazing. And I told her that story. I was like, I feel broken. Like, I feel like poor, you're whining because you have so much attention. Such a humble brag. Fucking say it out loud. It's awful. But she was like, has anybody ever told you that everybody's probably told you you're an extrovert your entire life because you like to do this flashy shit. She goes, you're actually an introvert that's just really good at being an extrovert. And that's you having to recharge. Doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're paranoid. It doesn't mean you're this or that. That's just who you are. Being alone is just as important as being amongst a million people. And oh my fucking God, was that a watershed moment. So for Bryan and for Derek afterwards, how do you reset? Like, and does it ever feel like, does it ever get to be too much for you? Like, people tell it like, hey, great job, I love your stuff, being very visible out there. Like, how do you deal with that?
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. So what I think a lot of people miss about being an extrovert introvert is that's not a categorization of how you are in crowds. Like that's literally actually not what that word is meant to be. And you hit the nail on the head. It's how you recharge, or a little more explicitly is how you gain energy. Right. And so there are many times where I just would prefer to be alone and work and hack and do whatever I need to do to get like jobs done or whatever. But when I'm looking to like recharge, I need other people with me. And it's a little weird. I like, as an extrovert, you're always looked upon as the person that will drive an activity forward. And that's great as long as you're around other extroverts. But sometimes like you need someone else to be like, you're like, hey, I had this idea. It'd be super fun to go do this thing. And everybody's like, I don't really know. You're not getting your energy back by like driving that. You need other people to kind of go with you. So it's a give and take. I don't think it's, as with many things, as with many things, it's not binary, right? It's not like, oh, well, I'm an extrovert, so I'm just going to drive the activity literally all the time. Or, oh, I'm an introvert. So, and I think actually a lot of people who don't understand this differentiation are having a lot of problems right now where they're like, oh, well, I'm an introvert, so I should be 100% okay during this physical distancing shenanigans. And you get 60, my team's been 70, I just checked it the other day, like 72 days from when I pulled them to full remote. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, well, 72 days, I'm an introvert, so I should be fine. It's like, no, we're still social creatures. It's how you recharge, but there's still ways that we need to interact with each other. And I think that trying to place that binary, again, as with many things, and I'm trying not to be super political, but also tip the hat to various people. You can't just identify with a very explicit singular definition of things and be like, this is the way I interact. This is the way I gain energy. This is the way I'm going to live my life over the next several months.
Right.
So it's hard. I as an instructor, as a teacher, as a community person, I feed off of interacting with large groups. I love it. I love giving classes or even learning from large groups of people. One of the reasons I give talks is so that I always leave. I give talks like it'll be a 40-minute talk, and I'll give 25 minutes of actual talk, and then I'll leave 15 or more minutes for questions, because I actually want that feedback. I want people to ask questions that I have no idea what the fuck is going on, so that later I can be like, oh, I actually have no idea what that is. I'm going to go learn it, because that's how I learn from people. I love that mass communication feedback loop. It's not a one-way communication. It's a feedback loop. So that's how I deal with that. And that's all my opinions on that. And again, I told you very much that I was very drunk. So I'm sorry if I strayed off of what that question was.
And I guarantee you, had you not told us, like, we would have just stop it. You're amazing and you're lovely and you're beautiful. Bryan, how about you, man?
So, my wife is remote as well. She works for a small software company in Redmond, Washington here. She's very much the extrovert in the family, and I'm almost the direct opposite of her. I am okay with being at home as long as I have an outlet to work out or to work off any nervous energy. When the whole COVID thing started, my biggest worries were food safety, food supply. My wife has dietary requirements. My daughter is a very finicky eater, and I was thinking about food supplies at the grocery stores and stuff. I wasn't worried so much about myself. I was worried about what was going to happen to my family. I don't know how people who live alone are doing this right now. I can go outside. I can socially distance. I can go for a walk. I took a 3-mile run this morning. I've got, when everything went to shit, I picked up some power block, 5 to 50 pound barbells so that I can, do shit in my house here up to 70 pounds, so that I can do crunches on the floor. And, I've got my standing desk and stuff. I've got the Slack that keeps me occupied prepping for, podcast stuff. I'm also a PM for Leviathan Security up here in Seattle, so I still have a regular job. All of us are working remotely. I thrive on making sure that others are okay. In this case, my wife and my daughter and my furry children, who don't seem to care that we're home or not. But I worry about what other people are feeling, and I tune into that when I'm at work. I see people when we're talking, because we have regular discussions, PMO meetings and consultants that we're talking to, and you can tell that some of them are just a little, little tweaked. Or, if you ask a question and you get a bit of a curt answer, you're like, yes, I have to remember we can't work the same as we were before. Even some of my responses to people sometimes have been a little short. And then I realize, I probably should go take a walk. Which is, what helps me is being able to get out to decompress. In that case, I try not to spend 8 hours, sitting or standing, in this case, in front of my desk. I used to do the CSEC East local meetup until all of this went down. I get a thrill off of trying new things, but it's the what ifs that get me. So, in the last few years, I've had to kind of tamp down those things. When I start hearing them, it's almost like there's a second voice in my head yelling at the what if guy saying, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And CSEC East has been going on. We started that with Megan Wu. I just tried to do a conference last year, which I think went okay. We're hoping to maybe do another one this year physically if they, remove the restrictions for parks and rec and stuff in the Washington State area. But I don't want to say I get off on it, but I get. Yeah, you
can. I admit it. I absolutely get off on that.
Go for it. If that's what gets you going.
I enjoy the nervous energy. Yeah. I enjoy the nervous energy. When I was in high school, I did drama and debate and stuff like that. And the unknown and where this is going to go kind of drives me in some cases. Right now, dude, one of the reasons I'm trying to get my project management certification.
So hot right now.
Yeah.
I'm covering up because I don't want Twitch to ding me for, being obscene.
Yeah, so I get off on what the unknown is going to be, or trying new things, and I'm grateful that I have my family here because I can lean on them. We definitely discuss. We're definitely talking a lot. We're talking more. We all go out and take walks as a family. We have more dinners as a family. We're cooking together as a family. So I don't know how folks who don't have that are doing it, but I know that folks like Ray Redacted, who's in the stream chat, and Miss Berlin and them have been doing a lot of mental health Zooms and web conferences. And if you're by yourself, and you need to talk to somebody, we're always available. Join the Slack, get on Twitter, find some folks on Twitter just to talk to, or, I'd give you my phone number on the Twitch, but I'd probably be blown up with all kinds of phone calls. But,
I'll post it later. If you need something.
Oh, appreciate that. Thank you. It's probably not hard to find. I have a nonprofit as well, so the phone number is probably somewhere around there. But yeah, we need to remember that our situation is not the same as everyone else's, and the way that other folks work and the way we work may be completely different. So we can't expect the same amount of work or the same level of work, or this, we can't expect an 8-hour day from somebody if they're at home and they don't know if they're going to, have enough food for the rest of the week because they can't get out to the store because they can't socially distance, or they're immune compromised, or, there's just no food in their store or something like that. So we have to start
even outside of that, like.
No, I really want. We've got so little time left. This is what I get for Pat. No. It's this. I love this conversation, and I don't mean to cut off, but there was one other question in the chat that I wanted to get to because I promised them that I would.
Shecky
says, Brian, Derek, and me, how do you make people understand? And it's the last question that we can leave everybody with. And Viking is going to be on for like 2 hours. He's fine. How do you make it understand that it's okay to not know and ask questions? I love this question, because it is not an easy question to answer. I spent a lot of time worrying about that, and especially getting into security, because I did IT for 10 years. You get into security, and now you're around hackers and these kind of things, and like you hear all these things like, oh, you're not elite enough, and blah 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 blah. So for me, what my turning point was, and it took a while of being in the industry and meeting people and getting into the same thing that helped me in radio. When I was in radio, I almost didn't go on the air because when I was younger, I had a very, very bad stutter. I could not talk like this. I couldn't get it.
Which blew my mind when I found that out.
It was so bad, bro. And people
I had no idea either.
People made fun. I can't, it's whatever. But when I got into radio, I never stuttered once behind a microphone, and I still haven't. And then that translated into people going out to events I was at, and I started to get so ego, right? Ego is what people always talk about ego in this very negative connotation, and it's very much not. It is believing in yourself. It is saying, I am good at this, and fuck you if you don't think that I am. My ego has helped. So now I am finally at a point. I don't care if I'm in a room with the most talent. I don't care if I'm in a room with the most talented people. I don't care if I'm on a chat panel stream with Alex Stamos. If I have to ask a question or make a dumb joke, I don't give a shit, because what's going to happen? Are you going to murder me? Are you going?
So lack of ego.
Yeah. Like,
that's right.
Yeah. So, but is being confident bordering on maybe cocky, but like just saying, what's the worst that's going to happen? What, are you going to make fun of me? I don't give a shit. That's your problem, not mine. So that's my answer. And I'd love to hear your two answers as our last question.
Yep. Go ahead, Rook.
So my big thing, and this is something I contemplate a lot, but I think recently I stumbled onto this thing, is I was looking back and recognizing how much I missed out on by not asking. So for me, it's kind of the inverse of what you just said. Like, ego was a big thing for me. And so what I would do instead of asking a question is I would passively listen, and then I try and go research, so that like I could come back to the conversation and be like, oh yeah, well, have you thought about this thing, or whatever the conversation was, or just be able to follow along. But through reflection, and obviously all hindsight is 2020, but I hope that people can learn from the things that I didn't learn, or through my mistakes, is that there was a lot of stuff that I just couldn't follow along with, because I had to leave that conversation to go research it and come back. And it's like, okay, good. I'm where you were an hour ago, or 20 minutes ago, or 5 days ago, or a week ago, or whatever that is. And I just missed out on a lot. Whereas if I would have just asked, and I didn't always feel comfortable doing it. And now I feel much more comfortable doing it. I think we, as people who have been in the industry for a while, can do a better job of making people feel comfortable asking questions. And I think we're doing that right now. But even if you don't feel as comfortable asking questions, you need to. And one thing that I think that I didn't recognize early, and I'll pass it on to Brian after this, is if you don't feel comfortable asking questions, then you are in the wrong space. And I recognize as a white male that I am privileged enough to kind of be able to pick and choose what space I'm in. And I don't have the ability to change people's circumstances if they don't feel that way, but I will do everything I can in my power to make sure that people who don't necessarily feel comfortable asking questions, or are looking to ask questions, or at least feel comfortable asking questions around me. Right. And so I encourage you to ask questions, because that's how you avoid that problem, is you just ask questions and you learn. And the reality is, most of the people that you think are rock stars have the same problem, and everyone wants you to ask questions because they're ready to learn and you're ready to learn. So sorry, go ahead, Brian.
No, it's all good. I'm going to start my answer off by a quote from Bill Nye. Everyone you meet knows something you don't. And the important thing is to, it goes both ways. I definitely know that I don't. That Rook and Danny know things that I don't. And when I bring people on our show, the one reason I bring them on is not necessarily because somebody said, "Hey, you should have this person on." It's because I'm genuinely interested in what that person can share with me, and by proxy, the people who see fit to download our show. It still bugs me to this day to walk up to somebody and go, "Hi, I'm Brian. What do you do for a living?" Or especially at a conference or something, because I know all of those people are extremely smart, and I'm just press for all intents and purposes. People are like, "Hey, why don't you speak? Because you're so interesting and stuff." I'm like, it's very hard to do so. To Rook's point, though, we definitely need to be championing people to have a comfortable environment. My wife does a lot of D&I stuff for that small company in Redmond, and a lot of it has worn off on me. My daughter is 14, and I realize that she may be white girl, but she's still got she's never going to have the same opportunities I have. So it's my job to make sure that she and others like her and people who don't have even the same level of, privilege that my daughter has, has the opportunity, if they want it, or if they want to have it, to have that opportunity. So there are no dumb answers, or there are no dumb questions. There are no dumb answers. The only wrong answer is the one that isn't asked. In my opinion, if you don't ask the questions, you're never going to learn. And if you don't feel like you can ask that question, there's always Google to ask the question to. A lot of my first research comes from just a simple Google search. Everybody's like, "Oh, Brian, you're so smart." No, I just know how to Google it. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. And if that person doesn't help you, there's always someone else out there, and you will always remember the person that helped you. And you should, just forget those folks that don't help you. So, that's I guess my answer.
Yep, exactly, and that's an excellent point. Excellent point to leave on. Mr. Rogers said it best. Look for the helpers, and the only counterpoint I would have to that is, don't forget about the people who didn't help you, because that's going to inform how badly you want to help somebody. You can always remember them,
right?
And if you're vindictive like me, if you get a chance to fuck them over, go ahead. Because you're going to get better, and you're going to get awesome, and there's going to be a point where you can be like, "Fuck that guy." So anyway,
I can run them over silently with my Tesla.
Nice. It's very silent, to be fair.
Coming
very fast.
You are so Seattle.
I gave up
100%.
I gave up my 400 horsepower to the wheels 300ZX for my Tesla.
Ooh.
It's
all right, I could talk to you fucking guys all day. I love this.
All right, man.
I know
we got to bounce.
I know, but we got Viking, and he gets itchy when he can't build things.
Oh man, that guy is important.
Yeah. So Rook, thank you for joining us. If people want to follow you, they want to find out what you're doing, what's the best way to do that?
Get ready to take notes. It's _R00K_ at Twitter. Is the best way to follow me. I'm sorry, people really like my last name. Evidently, I don't know what it is, but I'm super active on Twitter.
Yeah. And Brian, host of Breaking Down Security, where can people find you, and what do you want to talk about about what's coming up for you?
Bryan Brake, Bryan Brake. I don't have a cool hacker name. We have Masha Sadova on this week and next week talking about, how to better tailor your annual security training so that it doesn't suck for people. And I believe our next series is going to be the chairman of the FIDO Alliance. So we're going to be talking about identity management, and 2020 is the year of the passwordless login apparently. So we're going to talk about how that's going to be. So please check it out. I know a lot of people don't want to do podcasts, but you got to get your education somewhere. And if it ain't at a conference anymore, what are you going to do? Yeah. And we're also taking, rejected talks or whatever. So if you've got a talk that you were going to give at a conference but didn't get to, or you gave it at a conference and only 20 people saw it, we average 30,000 downloads a month. You're going to have 30,000 potential people listening to your talk. So breakingsecurity.com, BRAKEING, security.com.
All right, boys. Because of how
I love you, Danny.
Dude,
don't change, man.
I love you so much. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Brian. Two of my favorite people.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm saying that
Derek.
a lot in the first 5 hours, but it's because I get all my favorite people on here. Like, it's all true. So, all right, guys. This is since the way the audio works, this is gonna be our official goodbye. No after Zoom thing. So, thank you guys, and for everybody else on the stream, the GoFundMe is still up. We have a long way to go. We're getting pretty good numbers, but like, let's pick it up. And slight intermission, and then Viking Sec is up next. Thank you guys so much.